Hey everybody, John here with Luxe. I'm going to do a Charger taillight tint on this car using the newer technique where we actually start applying here, work our way up and down. This way this whole area gets laid down tension free. We can do most of the install without using heat actually. So this is the taillight tint kit that comes in a 20 inch by 60 inch sheet. I've cut it per the guide on our website. I'll include a link to that below. And we're just going to go ahead and start here. So it's a little bit windy outside. Could cause a little bit of a problem, but we do have repositionability, so that is going to help us. It's nice and cool outside today. You can see I'm going to use my thumb. There's not really many parts of this where you are forced to use the squeegee. I will use it when I'm tucking the vinyl up into the crease areas. So still no heat, no tension, no stretching, just holding the vinyl off the car so that I can work it onto this flat area here. I'll get as much of this down with my thumb as I possibly can, then we'll pull the squeegee out, and then we'll start applying heat. Okay, so now we're in a little bit of a curve and I want to push the vinyl up and down. So now I will use the squeegee. I'm holding it off of the car, no pull or anything, so that I can work it right up into that sharp crease at the top of the light. You can see the film is complying really well. This is not overstretching it. I'm not putting any weird tension on the film. 90% of the failures you're going to have are going to be this top and bottom lip, especially on the center section. And that comes from overstretching the middle. If you do this, you almost guaranteed will not overstretch the middle. You can see I'm just holding it off of the light. I want to make sure there are zero air bubbles, no air trapped along that crease. That is the most important part of this install, is getting the crease correct. What's great about this nice flexible squeegee is I can press up into these corners without fear of scratching the film or cutting into it. So there we go. That's all that we've done so far without using heat. We're gonna go ahead and get the heat gun out. Looking really good. I'm going to start with this bottom section because I have this really weird wrinkle right here. This isn't taking much tension. It's taking just a little. The vinyl loves heat. You can always use heat. Now, I'm not really pulling tension right here. I'm pulling just a little bit because I see a couple of weird lines, but I don't really want to pull a ton and introduce a lot of tension right here. So I'm just kind of holding it. Sorry, I'm filming.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That was an area where I should not have pressed with that squeegee. The vinyl was just a little too warm. I'm just gonna warm it back up and it'll actually shrink back. Just keep using my thumb here. This is going to be the part along the edge that has the most tension whenever we're done. Just because we have this wide arc that's forming right here. I'm not using my thumb here, I am using the squeegee because there's a little bit of tension down here. I want to make sure that I evenly press it to the edge. All right, so this is looking awesome so far. Not hard at all. Sorry if this wind is really loud, I can't tell right now filming it, but still using the old iPhone until I can find where I placed my GoPro. So now if you'll notice, what I'm gonna do is actually just start pulling the tint off of the car. I'm gonna heat it up. I'm just gonna let it relax with as little tension on it as possible, almost none. I just hold it there and make it to where there's zero wrinkles along the edge of that light. That's kind of helping it relax along the edge, and it'll preserve the edge. The vinyl won't pull back, because I'm releasing all the tension, or as much as we possibly can. Looking really good. Post-heating the vinyl right here in the middle, getting it nice and toasty. Ideally, if you have an IR thermometer, you want to get it to about 195. Our film will take a ton of heat, so I'm keeping my eye on it, and I work with it enough to know that I'm not going to burn it. Great. Now you can see how little tension is around these edges. This is perfect. So by starting here and working our way out, now all the tension is at the edge. It's a lot easier for us to deal with tension at the edge than it is for us to deal with tension here. It's almost nothing we can do if it's right there other than watch it pull up. So I'm going to cut on the bumper side of this gap so that I have a couple millimeters of film left over around the light, because I'm going to tuck that in behind the light. Again, cutting on the fender side, blade down here in this curved area. That's one slightly complicated area, just be careful there. Again, starting at the fender side, holding my knife parallel with the metal of the body so that it doesn't scratch it. I'm never pointing the knife at the metal of the body. Trim this little bit off right here. It kind of got weird. And then trim on the side of the light on the trunk. So now we're going to go ahead and heat all the edges. And then just start with the vinyl nice and warm, tucking it in with the squeegee. Because we're doing a full wrap, you would never want to wrap your taillights immediately after washing your car. There's a good chance there's a lot of water in these creases. So if you do, use a leaf blower or something and blow these creases out really, really good. So I start pressing the vinyl in the crease and up. I'm gonna start pressing the vinyl into the crease and down. That way this whole flat middle part just folds right in. Can never be too careful. Just heat it up a little bit more. And there we go. There is one side of the taillights. All right, now we're gonna go for the middle section. I've got Sammy here helping me because it's quite windy outside. But let's show you how we tackle this. Hold that backing paper with one hand. So again, I'm going for the center of the light. I've cleaned off the trunk back. Up here by the camera, all the dust and everything from there. Now using force, I am using my I'm pressing pretty hard because the vinyl's trying to fight me since I'm going into this crevice here. This is the most difficult part if you do it this way. And it'll save you a lot of headache in the future. Let's go ahead and pull more backing paper off. Really see the repositionability of the film as I pop it back up. It's not as easy to pop up as, you know, say an Avery or a 3M, but it's also a thicker material so that we don't have adhesive lines. Oh. I'll tell you, it's really grabby in this chilly weather. Okay. I'm not finishing this part out, but I'm just making sure that it's something I can work with. So that's why I'm leaving him holding the rest over there. I will get there, but I just want to make sure that I don't really need to reposition the whole piece of film or something, because I could still do it at this moment, but it's going to get harder as time goes on. All right, go ahead. Remove it all. Awesome. It looks like there's a bunch of tension here, but it's really not. It's because it's stuck here. So as long as you have a pretty even line where your thumb or finger is able to apply it, then you're doing good. Pop all that up. Now I'm just holding it away from the car. Minor tension pulling on it, but not much. And again, I'm squeegeeing it right down into that bottom crack here. Same thing, push it up off the car. Not really pulling any tension, but I'm just working it into this crease. Look at that, that's awesome. Nice and smooth. Very little tension in that edge. Very confident that this vinyl is going to stick long term. was a weird little piece of tension, so I'm actually just gonna kind of pull a bunch up here so that I can start there and work it straight up. Yeah, that's gonna work. Okay. Since I pushed really hard with my fingers, so I have a little bulge here now. The film is kind of wrinkled, so I'm going to heat it up and let it shrink back before I continue. But like I said, I don't want any little micro bubbles or anything along that crease. Look at this, look how much we've done and we haven't pulled out a heat gun yet. And ensure long-term that corner and that corner are going to be two places we really want to make sure we heat well, make sure that all of it's gone and that we have extra wrapped around, because you're going to want that to stay in place. I did not even need heat to have this fully conformed down. Okay, so we're gonna finish off the driver's side here. So it's getting really brittle because it's getting a little colder. So I put heat there because the heat let me take what was very high tension right here and actually disperse it over a wider area. So just holding this off the car. And I am going to use a little heat on this side. It's getting more difficult to do as time goes on. Awesome. That's great. Up right here. Okay, that's looking great. Awesome. Okay, so it's looking really good all the way across the light. We're gonna start post-heating now, locking our edges down, and then we're gonna go to cutting. So, because we have these weird curves, when we lock these edges down, I'm gonna put a few relief cuts. It's gonna help me manage this vinyl. I always have my finger almost where the blade is, so I'm never touching the car or getting it near the car. Now I can kind of pop this up, just hold it up, heat this really well, let the vinyl do what it does. It's gonna shrink just a little bit, which is exactly what I want. If it shrinks now, it won't shrink later. And that tension actually kind of causes it to want to hug the edge of that light. Looking very good. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of all this excess film. Give me a little easier time working this here. That was great. See how that corner didn't even think of lifting up. Same with this. The vinyl's super hot and pliable, but it didn't lift at all down in that corner. The top's so easy. There's really very little tension right there. The opposite of before, I'm actually cutting on this light this time. Running my blade right along the edge. I want to lock this down right away. I don't want to give these corners any chance. Kind of tackle this long rear in sections. A lot of people are going to complete one step, lock all the edges, then come back and cut everything. You can do that. It's not going to hurt anything. But once I'm comfortable with a step and I know that I can move forward across the whole light, then I usually start to go to the next thing. I don't have to move as much.
So I do have one little tiny bubble right there I see. Just gonna prick that with my blade. Push it all the way with the squeegee. We're good to go.
All right, it's going exceptionally well. Seeing how I deal with the button. Press it into the button real good. Use the squeegee just to kind of trace it while it's warm. And as soon as that cools down, we're gonna cut it. I'm gonna go ahead and break away a section on my blade, make sure I've got a really sharp section. And this one I'm actually doing on the trunk side, not the button side. So I don't want to fold it down and actually cause any resistance. All right. Now we've already done this. I heated it, I think, off camera. Again, like I said, these two corners and the two on the other side right there, the number 2 spots, I want to make sure perfect. Lift the vinyl off the car, heat it nice and warm. It gets very soft. And there you go, it's shrunk. You can still see that edge nicely defined. So that vinyl's great. Not gonna cut it yet because it's still really soft. I don't want the blade to snag, cause gross cuts. Also, just kind of press it down onto both lights. That way when I push the blade against this light here, it's kind of holding itself in place. Flip the knife, no, it won't go up. There we go. Flip it, go down. Cut that. Now it's all about just locking this down. Make sure and get this nice and hot. Post-heat everything. I'm gonna go along the whole taillight and do this.
Before I do this third and final light here, I just wanted to stop and really take a look at what we've done, the finish that we're getting. So you see there's no stretch marks in the middle at all because we had to put no stretch there. Very, very clean. This is what you're looking for, and this is going to stay long term.